Helen Yee here in West Linn, Oregon. Always great to be joined by the one and only, the undefeated, undisputed, and yes, the biggest arms here in West Linn, Chael Sonnen. Always great to see you.
Good to see you. Thank you very much. Yeah, man, we got a sunny day. Had a nice meal. Welcome to town.
Yeah, and thank you so much for that meal. So you're not just a bad guy.
I try to be. Yeah, I don't want to fool you, but yeah. Okay.
I have to say, I am here for a swim competition, but I had to see the legend in West Linn first.
Hey, I'm glad that you guys came in. I've been enjoying your work lately. I was telling you before we started rolling the camera, but your work with Sean Strickland as of late has been the most interesting stuff in all of MMA. You get Sean to open up, and sometimes I get my hands sweaty, makes me nervous, but there always seems to be something entertaining.
Well, thank you so much. That means so much to me, especially coming from you. But stay tuned because we're about to have a eating competition. So who would you bet on, me or Sean Strickland?
Oh, you're taking on Sean. Well, oh boy. I mean, Sean's a competitive guy. I got to tell you, you don't underestimate him. I'd probably put my money on Sean.
Okay, you're about to lose a lot of money, but it's all good. So we are here, but hey,
what are you guys eating? Is this real? You guys have like an agreement? There's an actual competition, and if so, what's the food?
It's a surprise.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
All right. Very good. I'm still taking Sean. I mean, no offense. It's just I know he's competitive, and
it's all good. You never saw me when I was 217 pounds.
All right. Fair enough. Good luck. Best of luck.
Okay, so this past weekend, UFC 290, I saw your video about Dricus and Izzy, but I have to ask you, what do you think are the keys to victory for Dricus to get past someone like Izzy?
Oh, geez, Izzy's just so good on his feet. I mean, he's dominant. Robert Whittaker is as good of a fighter as the sport has ever had, everywhere. He's overall as good of a fighter as we've had, but he is predominantly a stand-up guy. And Whittaker talked about, this was more after his first meeting with Izzy than it was after the second, but he said, man, the guy was too fast, he hit too hard, and his angles were too unusual. And that was Robert Whittaker speaking. So I just say that I'm not convinced that anybody can go on their feet and have a great night with Izzy, but I will remind you that according to Du Plessis and Izzy themselves, they did a workout. It was in like Thailand. It was a wrestling workout, and that Du Plessis was more advanced. This was many years ago, but when you do talk about some keys to victory, it would seem like he needs to wrestle him.
Then what about someone we just spoke about, Sean Strickland? Where does he go from here? Who does he fight?
Yeah, Strickland is, that last fight was a really big deal, that he got his hand raised and got by him. I'm hearing rumors that it's going to be Cannonier versus Chimaev. I believe those rumors, even though they're a little bit disappointing. I think you have a really good fight there, and it would kind of let us know where both guys stand. I certainly wouldn't deny that. But as far as the build-up and some of the fun that we could have had, it's a miss. And so you got Sean sitting there, and I think he's a future contender. I could see Sean going right in for a championship fight in a scenario where Du Plessis is to get over on Izzy, right? I mean, it's so hard to know because this sport changes so fast. But it was a big win by Sean, and I do hope he gets his opportunity.
And when you say disappointing, who would you have liked to see Khamzat fight?
Well, so we were told Khamzat was going to fight. You have to understand, it's very relevant from this standpoint, Helen, because we're under the belief that Khamzat is now a 185-pounder. That has never been made clear, but we're under that belief. It's been floated, it's been said, and nobody's denied it. Okay, that's what I mean when I say that belief. Secondly, we're under the impression that his next fight, if he wins, he will then fight for a title. Okay, great. I don't have a problem with any of that, but just to remind you, he was supposed to fight Paulo Costa. Then it was rumored he was going to fight Kamaru Usman, and now it's rumored that he's going to fight Jiri Prochazka. So generally, when you have a number one contender fight, it's not about go win. It's about go beat that guy. Now it's been revealed to us crystal clear, not once, twice, but 3 times, just at this point, that it doesn't matter who the guy is. That he's going to be a number one contenders match if he gets a win, but it doesn't matter who the guy is. And frankly, that's weird.
Well, speaking of number one contender, I just saw your most recently uploaded video on your great YouTube channel about Islam, who he should fight next, and also the BMF title. So how confident are you that winner could be the one that fights Islam?
Well, I mean, it looks like it's going in that direction, and I only say that because Charles Oliveira has told us 3 times that he does not want to fight Islam. And I picked against Charles in the Benny fight just because I couldn't believe that Charles would be motivated enough to go and beat Benny DeRouche when the reward is fighting Islam, which he's already made it very clear he does not want to do. So, I think you're in a real interesting spot. There's something known as a survivor's clause, and that dates back to K1. That dates back to the early days of Japan. That is carried over right now in Bellator MMA. And it just says if you're in a bracket somewhere and the guy that beat you can't continue on, then you're the survivor, you continue on. And so there's a precedent in our sport. Benny DeRouche should be activating that. He should be testing that here in the UFC. He should be saying, I was in a #1 contenders match. The guy that beat me can't go on. I'm the survivor. Put me in against Islam. I can guarantee you Benny isn't going to say a single one of those words or even look into the history of the survivor clause. So here we are. We're stuck trying to find, even if we got to go to 2 dinosaurs to do it, we're stuck trying to find somebody to fight with Islam.
So who do you think wins the BMF title?
And by the way, if you want to solve the problem, you can make one phone call to Eddie Alvarez and you will have a former champion against Islam, right? I mean, at some point it does come down to who's willing to do it. And 155 pounds, which was the toughest division in our entire industry, not just this organization, the entire industry, you now have a champion without an opponent who doesn't know how to find a fight, and you have a whole bunch of challengers who aren't challenging the champion to a fight. It's disappointing.
Shout out to Eddie Alvarez, but who do you like in that fight? Justin Gaethje or Dustin Poirier in that rematch?
Yeah, what an interesting one. So, just to remind you how the first one went, it was scheduled for 3 rounds, and it finished in the 3rd round, and there was just nothing left when Dustin went down. One of them was going to go down. I mean, Justin. One of them was going to go down. Like, they had thrown everything, that old expression, everything but the kitchen sink. But it really happened in that fight. It was an amazing contest, and now it's going to be scheduled for 2 more rounds. So I'm not quite ready to pick a winner. I'm sharing with you that it would appear, for what we know on paper, that the extra rounds favor Poirier.
And we'll stay tuned for your YouTube channel for an update on that. But speaking of more on the 155-pound weight division, do you think that Conor McGregor will fight by the end of this year?
No, mathematically, I don't think so. And I don't think the fight that I really want is ever going to happen. The fight I really want is USADA versus Conor McGregor. I don't think I'm going to get my way. But it's now not just a question of the math by USADA and who's going to win and who's on the right side of the argument. It's not about that. We're out of dates. There's one main event still to be announced. That's for the December card. That hasn't been announced. But no, I don't think it's going to be McGregor. I don't know who it's going to be. Right, we had the November card just filled up with Jones and Stipe, 2 guys that have made it very clear they don't want to fight each other and now going to fight each other. And we got December left, and I hope it's Conor, but no, I would not make that prediction. No.
But when Conor does end up returning, do you think he fights Michael Chandler?
Yeah, what a tough question. I sure hope for Chandler's sake. Red Panty Night is still very real. Conor is the top draw in our sport by a lot. So if you're a prize fighter and you don't mind fighting, but you would like a prize, it makes a level of sense to wait for McGregor, but only a level of sense, not your whole career. And, if I was in Chandler, I would be saying Conor's next fight is me, but I'm not guaranteeing anybody my next fight is Conor. There's no reason that Chandler didn't get on with it or get something else scheduled. And hindsight's always 20/20. But I'm just sharing with you that at some point you've got to go out and you've got to compete. And Chandler is wasting time. That for sure is true.
And circling back to Islam, though, Volkanovski, he's someone that has been very vocal about wanting to get a rematch. Would you like to see that happen?
Oh, yeah, I would love that. Now, a couple of stipulations. I think that Volk, I think he needs to drop the 45-pound belt. You can always go back and pick it up. I mean, there's things that you can do. A 55 just isn't going to work out for you. But I think that that's what cost him in his last fight. He needed to dig a little deeper and a little bit extra motivation. And Volk walked into that fight, win or lose. I'm going to wake up tomorrow and I'm going to be world champion. And that wasn't true for Islam. Islam had to win to be world champion. And I would like to see Volk burn his ships. If he's going to go back to 55, they're going to give him that opportunity. He doesn't have the right to hold those guys up, hold up an entire division, hold up Ilya or anybody else. He needs to drop that belt and show us that he truly is a 55-pounder.
And lastly, UFC 300, it's going to come sooner than later. So Who's your dream matchup to headline UFC 300?
Oh, geez. You know, I love that. I wish I would have known that you were going to ask it. I would like to see, I'd like to see what's going to happen at 205 pounds. I in Prochazka's absence, have become a very big Prochazka fan. I had a lunch with King Mo, who was telling me all about this guy and some behind-the-scenes stuff that I didn't know. And I leave that lunch and I go right to the lobby in the hotel and I run into CB Dalloway, who starts telling me all about Prochazka, what the guy feels like, what it's actually to be like in the ring with him. And I have a totally different outlook and opinion on Prochazka. I would love to see him back, and I'd be interested in super fight style matches. Izzy versus Prochazka, just by example, is very realistic for you. That's not my prediction, but it's very realistic for UFC 300.
And for all the fans who love you, what would you like to let them know?
Oh, gee, you know what? What good taste you have, right? You guys could choose to love anybody. You came to the right guy.